Welcome back to another exciting episode. Today we are at, I believe it's pronounced Chantilly, Virginia, to check out the Smithsonian Institute National Air and Space Museum. Yes, there is a Smithsonian Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. as well, but this is the annex in Chantilly, Virginia. I've been to both of them, and they each have their pluses and minuses, and I think you'll see the big plus in this one. When you first pull in, you'll see there is ample parking, and it's right around the main entrance. After walking down the very long walkway, you will go into the building. There is security, and I noticed they do randomly check your bag, so be prepared for that. Admission is free, but there is a $15 parking fee, and you do pay here inside the facility. Some quick pro tips. If you're going to be going out off property to eat, then you do need your parking receipt to get back in, because you can have free re-entry the same day. Also, don't forget to check out the Welcome Center, where you can get a map of the whole facility. It's quite extensive and pretty accurate, both front and back. You can also download a digital copy of the map through a QR code on a monitor. And just so you are prepared, this is an absolutely huge place. So buckle up. This might be a long one, but definitely worth the watch. Walking down the ramp into the main hangar, you will see some electronic kiosks that you can play with, as well as these very informative information boards that are all over the place, so you know what you're looking at and the history behind it. Continuing down the ramp, you kind of get a little bit of an idea just how massive this place is and the awesome items you're going to get into, including the actual engines that are in these aircraft. And once you hit the hangar floor, wow, just wow. The adventure begins, including aircraft simulators, but we'll get more in depth with that a little bit later. But let's start out checking out the Boeing Aviation Hangar. This is the largest part of the museum, and for me, one of the most fascinating. They really cram a lot of stuff into this hangar, and I am so excited to explore it with you. When you get to the bottom of the ramp, right in front of you, you will see the SR-71. And of course, after gawking at that thing for quite some time, turn around, and underneath the steps, you get a better view of the aircraft engine display, which shows everything from the Wright brothers engine all the way to more modern engines. In the section of the hangar you're looking at now, we find that air power came into its own as an indispensable weapon during the Second World War. All the roles and missions emblematic of modern air power were defined during World War I and redefined and practiced during World War II. Among them, maintaining air superiority, performing reconnaissance, providing close support for ground forces, ensuring logistical support, and executing strategic attacks. As aviation technology has evolved, so too has the nature of air warfare. Nations will most likely never again build the kinds of vast aerial armaments that were seen during World War II. Modern aircraft, they carry weapons far more accurate than the bombs dropped by the thousands in World War II. And far fewer aircrafts and weapons are needed to destroy or dismantle targets. Modern air power can produce precise and deadly effects with relatively few of the so-called smart bombs. As you watch this video, I just need to note that there are some places where there was music playing in the background. It was very light, but I will probably have to overdub some music of my own just so I don't get hit with copyright strike. So I apologize for those who don't like music in the background of the videos, but in this case, there are some places I'm going to have to do that. For those of you who were not born within the Cold War aviation era, tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union during the Cold War resulted in a competition to create advanced technologies aimed at gathering intelligence. Aerial reconnaissance played an important role, and the Lockheed SR-71 was a direct result of the struggle for supremacy. And it is a beautiful bird, as you see. I was even lucky enough to see one fly when I was in the Air Force. The Stephen F. Udvar Hazy Center displays thousands of aviation and space artifacts, including the Space Shuttle Discovery, which we'll see a little bit later, the Blackbird SR-71, the Concorde, and so much more, in 2 large hangars. The hours of operation at the time that we visited was 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., and they are open every day except December 25th. To give you sort of a general idea of where this place is located, it's just south of the Washington Dulles International Airport along Route 28, about a half-mile north of the intersection of Route 28 and 50. Obviously, you're not allowed any weapons here, but also for those of you who are going to document your trip, you're not allowed to bring tripods or monopods, selfie sticks, those kind of things. And of course, you can't have pets other than medical assist dogs. You're not supposed to bring food or drink in there because they do have places for you to eat on site. Or again, you can go off site and come back on as long as you keep the receipt for your parking. So again, free admission to the parking area if you keep your receipt for the same day. And it is a non-smoking facility. As far as accessibility, they do have handicap available parking, and they even have a special handicap drop-off lane at the entrance of this center. But again, it's only for drop-off. You can't park there. And as you saw at the beginning of the video, they do have access ramps, and they do have elevators that are available in several locations throughout the building. And you are welcome to bring your own mobility devices, but they do have a limited number of standard and bariatric wheelchairs that are available for use while visiting the museum if something happens to your wheelchair. Just remember, these wheelchairs are provided on a first-come, first-served basis, and they are stationed right after entering the building on the right-hand side. As mentioned before, service animals are welcome. However, remember, emotional support, therapy animals, comfort, or companion animals are not service animals, so they are not permitted inside the museum. And the restrooms are wheelchair and companion care accessible. And to top it all off, they do have braille and tactile guides for those who need them. Alrighty then, let's go on a musical tour of the rest of this part of the hangar on the 2nd and 3rd floors and see what we come across. And then I'll be right back on the other side to give you another tour for some really great and spectacular surprises that we came across. Just you wait. One of my personal favorite areas that we went through is the early flight section. It's where between the first flights of the Wright brothers in 1903 and the outbreak of, I think it was around World War I in 1914, they show that the airplanes grew from an ancient dream into reality that would undoubtedly shape the future. Our early flight section, it uses artifacts to explore how in one short decade, people in America and around the world were pushing boundaries, setting records, participating in air shows, and turning the aircraft into technology that would usher in the aerial age. They even has some docents there that would explain to younger people and children about aerodynamics, early aircraft, the Wright brothers, and more. It was a wonderful collection to look at, and for me, again, one of the more fascinating areas of the Boeing hangar. Now, there's also a multitude of simulators here. You can fly or ride in motion capture ride simulators, interactive flight simulators, and virtual reality motion ride VR transporters. You can experience the thrill of aviation, fun, and adventure. These are at a cost, so check before you go, and then just simply choose your adventure and take an exciting trip on their dynamic motion capsules. On the ride simulators, you have Discovery, Space Mission Hubble. You also have Wings, Flight of Courage, Destination, Black Hole, and Red Baron. Now, Red Baron is when you get to hop into an open cockpit of a triplane and head into danger with the most infamous ace of World War I. Now, note that these do contain sounds and scenes of gunfire and explosions, so those who are sensitive to those things might not want to go onto the simulators. And they do warn you to participate at your own risk. Behind the Boeing exhibit, in a connected hangar, there is the James S. McDonald Space Hangar, which has all things space, including the Discovery. Now, the Discovery was the third space shuttle orbiter vehicle to fly in space. It entered service in 1984 and retired from spaceflight as the oldest and most accomplished orbiter, the champion of the shuttle fleet. Discovery flew on 39 Earth orbital missions, spent a total of 365 days in space, and traveled almost 150 million miles. That's more than any other orbiter. It shuttled 184 men and women into space and back, many of whom flew more than once, for a record-setting total crew count of 251.
Good morning again.
How are you?
Wow, that AI, you guys are fantastic. You guys are more lifelike every day.
A magnificent job, right?
Yes. So you do this like every weekend or something, or?
I generally am here most Sunday mornings from 10 to 11:30. Yeah.
Oh, awesome! That's great that you're doing that for everybody. Yeah.
But they started doing these virtual stations during the pandemic, but they remained pretty popular, so they've kept the shuttle station, and there's one by the SR-71.
And it's Eleanor, correct?
Eleanor, yes.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Eleanor. I appreciate everything you're doing.
Because Discovery flew every kind of mission the space shuttle was meant to fly, it well embodies the 30-year history of U.S. human spaceflight from 1981 to 2011. Named for renowned sailing ships of exploration, Discovery is preserved as intact as possible as it flew in 2011 on the 133rd Space Shuttle mission. NASA transferred Discovery to the Smithsonian in April of 2012 after a delivery flight over the nation's capital. And don't forget to visit the Mary Baker Engen Restoration Hangar. There's a number of kiosks that will go over very specific restorations that they're doing and the restoration process in general. They have a fantastic viewing area where you can just watch and see what they're doing or take pictures of the restoration process. They have many restoration projects going on. Some of them are recreations, but some are the actual aircraft that they're restoring so they can put out in the museum for our viewing pleasure. As you can see, Elias really got into this section.
Oh yeah, that is used. But actually that isn't a wing. Yeah, that's an elevator.
There's also an IMAX theater here, which plays some really interesting movies. And this is also the area that has the penny pressing machine, if you're into those things. And we all know Elias loves them. Just look at him go.
What you got?
A little hard to find, but worth the hunt, is the Donald D. Edgar Observation Tower. Once you find it, there is a queue that you do have to wait in line at, but they do have this little mini museum area that you can peruse while you wait for the elevator. Then once entering the elevator, you go up to the 7th floor, you get out, and oh my goodness, get a load of this.
You want to see? Sorry.
No, you're fine.
You not only get a great look at the countryside, but you can also see aircraft taking off and landing at the local airport. And some of those aircraft were so close, I swear we could have touched them. Unfortunately, I wasn't quick enough with the camera to catch those flights. But this was a very enjoyable day.
No, you're not. Yeah.
Well, thank you for tagging along with us today. We really appreciate it, and we hope to see you back here very soon. And as always, have a great day.